Right, here's our first edible plant, the elderberry. Well, I'll have a shared video on how to use these, but they're a very common plant in our area, and the berries do make edible juice. Most of the rest of the plant isn't that good, but the berries are good, and then flowers before they're berries. Those are pretty good. Here we have the bull thistle. Thistles are actually related to artichokes. So if you took this flower here that's fresh and steamed it, there'd be a artichoke-like core in the middle, and it tastes about the same. These stalks, when they're young, like they're just shooting out in the spring, you could actually peel the layer of outside spikes off, and the inside has there's like a core to it, and it tastes like celery. So this is a hemlock lookalike. It is a wild carrot, and at this stage most of them are about like this. There's a couple differences, one of which is if you feel the stem, it's hairy and kind of rough. Another one is you could, although I wouldn't do this with hemlock, you could squeeze that and smell it, and it'll smell like carrots. These make carrot roots the same as the other ones, except they're a little smaller. They do have umbel white flowers, and usually they're quite a bit bigger. You can imagine like one of these guys spread out. It's a little bit bigger. Here's the milkweed. This is what we've been looking for to find monarch caterpillars. I don't quite see any on here. Milkweed has edible parts, but at this stage they're too old. Young seed pods, when they're like this small, can be 8. Fresh flowers can be 8. And even when it's coming up in the spring, the shoots out of the ground are edible. You just kind of cook them like asparagus, and they taste pretty similar. The raspberries have this kind of it's like the outside of a grape. It has that haze on it. Some say that's wild yeast on there, but it's also a waxy outer coat to the stem. The raspberries come out in late June, early July, and this grows wild pretty much everywhere along the forest edges. And over in here, we have some wild grapes. I can tell that these are grapes because they have tendrils. There's another lookalike that has similar berry clusters called moonseed. So you have to make sure that you can identify your plant correctly. But these are really sour grapes. You can make a jelly out of them. And then for survival use, you can cut the stems of grapes and it'll drip water, drinkable water for a while. This one is called Amaranth. It has little black seeds. And those seeds are edible and they pop like popcorn. There's a YouTube video I made. It has 8,000 views showing me popping these little seeds. The red clover. If you pull the flower stalks out and you suck on these ends, there's a little bit of nectar in here. And then the flowers are commonly dried and made into tea. It's a tea flavoring. Here's the common plantain. It has flower stalks. This one's been mowed, so it's a little bit shorter. But the seeds out of here when they dry are roastable and edible. The leaves when young are edible, but now they're kind of old. And also if you chew up the leaf and put it on a bee sting, it reduces the swelling and inflammation. It's called the plantain.